think that's why she's your hero too.
On behalf of the association, I want to present her with this Exceptional Value Award for 2013, presented to Nancy Shukaitis, champion of the free-flowing Delaware River and dedicated protector of the Delaware River Valley since 1965. Nancy?
Your turnout tonight is so great that nothing could surprise me more. And nothing could make me more appreciative of all of you. Can you hear me?
Everybody heard that, right? That's pretty good.
Thank you very much. I have one extra thing besides my talk that I want to say now, and that is this is an unusual thing tonight, that there were in this county a total of 4 different ladies who became a commissioner, and that was never done up until 1968. And I wanted to mention them because we're all here, and we've never all been in one room at the same time. So we have Janet Weidenthal, tonight, the chairman of the Brodhead, excuse me, Brodhead Street, Brodhead Watershed. Where are you? Hi. And the present commissioner. We're right there again in the office over there with Mr. Garris. Here you are, Suzanne. In fairness, we'll mention Charlie Garris. Where are you? And give our regards to the Shawnee other commissioner. John?
He's not here.
He's not
Asia's not here.
I beg your pardon. Oh, excuse me. Well, okay, excuse me. I forgot. She's in jail. Most of us never went to the jail. So now I'll get serious. And I did want to throw something in about the wonderful over 100 people who are going to streams to test the water. I hope you're not experiencing what we experience on Franklin Hill. We have a tremendous year for black walnuts. And I'm worried about all of you who go out along the creeks where those walnut trees are, because I keep getting bopped on the head. And I don't know if it's personal or not, because I think the squirrels know what they're doing. So that I wanted to refer to, because if I do begin to misbehave or say something wrong up here, it could be because I've been hit, and I'm serious about that. It does not feel good. You know, it's not healthy, and I don't think doctors approve of it. Now I'm going to get serious. We are here this evening on the shore of the Delaware River to celebrate the Delaware River's flowing along as it always has. To Teresa Murley, Director, and all the volunteers of the Brodhead Watershed Association, all lovers of the Delaware River and its tributaries, and to John Donahue, and to Carl Wilkes, and all the guests here at the Kirkwoods Historic Shawnee Inn, we say, thank you. Thank you for this Delaware River Festival today. And it's really a festival we're having. Thank you also to the Pocono Record and reporter David Pierce and other media for spotlighting the Delaware River and the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. The credit for official disapproval of Talks Island Dam goes to wide citizen effort. From 1964 to 1978, the Delaware Valley Conservation Association strived to stop the dam. From January 1970 until 1978, when the Wild and Scenic Rivers included the Middle Delaware, which nixed any river structure. The Save the Delaware Coalition, under the auspices of Harold Lockwood, a Philadelphia lawyer, chairman, and 72 local, state, regional, and national organizations, conducted a high-level campaign and won, saving the free-flowing Delaware. Since the Talks Island project never was approved, the cultural and natural resources that were saved, combined with many recreational opportunities available in the recreation area, that create one of the most dynamic and varied units of the national park system. The flowing Delaware River is a major river in the Atlantic coast of this country. It drains 14,110 square miles in 5 states, 42 counties, 838 municipalities, 218 tributary streams, and is known for its world-class fishery and major canoe and kayak sport, as well as the lower harbors, ships, and barges, serving hundreds of industries. Thousands of homes and industries still standing in our river cities were built from this river's raft, logging, and lumbering for 177 years, ending in 1923. It is the longest undammed river east of the Mississippi. This river and tributaries provide water to 17 million people in our 4 basin states. The Delaware is the world's largest freshwater port. A clean river enriches our lives. It reflects the skies every day in accord with the weather. Love of the beauty, power, and function of the Delaware River should remain unaltered to enable generations to come, building on memories, resources that make this river the best in the country and possibly the world. Local valley residents frequently walked to the river to observe it and watch wildlife. Our farm, bordered on the Delaware 4 miles north of here, where a river bend conveniently dropped sand and made a natural sandy beach which drew lots of townspeople for years for swimming and all other river activities. The charge was 25 cents per car parking. We farmers had the advantage of 3 scout camps within bugle range, so we worked from reveille to late afternoon on their bugler's schedule, while we grew corn, potatoes, melons, and garden crops. The rich soil beneath our bare feet felt like talcum powder. The sweet aroma of newly mowed hay awaited us each year. The day's labor was forgotten when at 5 p.m. all went swimming. Then supper time followed later by the bugler's taps. Nothing could beat it. Despite government plans to shroud the valley in a dam and stationary body of water, professional studies indicated some extremely negative impacts. The following facts have a lot to do with the dam's abandonment in 1975. The cost. The estimated cost of Tops Island Dam in 1962 was $90 million. By 1975, the cost rose to $400 million and climbing. The cost-benefit ratio study was figured for each of the 4 purposes of the dam: flood control, conventional hydroelectric power, water supply, and recreation. Examples of costs were to prepare the bottomland for water, 14,000 acres of prime fertile land known as Native American homeland, 11,200 acres of forest, also drowning the lower copper mine, 24 miles of Route 209, 20 miles on the Old Mine Road, and moving 5,000 graves. A loss of $4 million per year to cover destruction of 2/3 of Delaware Bay oyster industry when the reservoir operates. Eutrophication, caused by high nutrient runoff from the river watershed that would form a few years after the dam was completed. Several professional studies agreed that, I quote, "At best, it would ruin the game fisheries. At worst, it would make the reservoir unavailable for recreation." Finally, the President's Council on Environmental Quality rejected the entire environmental impact statement due to eutrophication, which would pollute the reservoir. For our information here tonight, eutrophication is not a problem in a free-flowing river which permits sunshine to purify the shallows. That's the difference. Flood control. The 1955 tragedy of 78 drownings on Brodhead Creek and 60% of property damage occurred on the tributaries, which Tops Dam could not have prevented even if it existed in 1955. Tops Island is 2 miles upstream the mouth of the Brodhead Creek. It was fallacious to repeatedly imply that Tops Dam could have prevented that terrible misfortune, but it was used before Congress many times. Pike, Wayne, and Monroe counties have built dry dams on their tributaries to reduce floodwaters and help prevent another hazardous flood. As for the cities, new floodplain regulations are required in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Water supply. The planned low-flow augmentation for dilution of pollution was disapproved. That was a good move. As for saltwater intrusion in southern cities' intakes, Philadelphia and Camden were safe, but they must deal with water quality and reuse the ample supply that exists. New Jersey has high-flow skimming and storage in Round Valley Reservoir, New Jersey. Hydroelectric. New Jersey's pump storage plan with a 20-story high rock rubble-walled reservoir on Kittatinny Ridge, a few steps from Sunfish Pond, was dropped because the most damage would be the daily 3 feet fluctuation in the reservoir, causing turbidity, siltation, and water temperature changes. The very thought of the above unsightly monstrosity on top of the New Jersey mountain would shock visitors and forever mar the valley's natural character. Sewage disposal. The wastewater treatment system would have consisted of 565 miles of piping and plumbing, crossing from New Jersey to Pennsylvania in 5 places and wrapping around the entire reservoir. 275 pumping stations running from Port Jervis to a major sewage treatment plant at the mouth of the Brodhead Creek. It would cost an estimated $190 million. At the hearing in Stroudsburg, behind the scenes, it was termed Frankenstein's John. Reservoir mud flats were expected due to seasonal and daily water level fluctuation, which would, quote, impact shad migration and fish spawning grounds, unquote. This one is more than you can stand. 11 nuclear power plants were introduced by the Delaware River Basin Commission in March 1972. A stunning master siting study announcing that 11 nuclear power plants were proposed for construction within the river basin, the closest to be at Portland, Pennsylvania. Cooling water for 11 plants would consume all of the reservoir's water that were previously prioritized for downstream water needs. To this day, we are unaware of any hearings held on this subject. Last of all, geology. The #1 argument against the dam became the safety of the dam and reservoir due to bad geology at Tox Island caused by the Wisconsin Glacier. This should have been the first issue that I would look at if I were an engineer. If you can't build something, if you can't build a house on a rock, or if you're going to build it in a bad spot, you don't do it. You don't bring it up. A record of 4 decades and 7 miles of test drill borings to find bedrock for the base of the dam between the 1930s through to the 1960s reflects the difficulties facing the engineers. The 4 worst earthen materials were called till, drift, lake, and alluvial, all due to ice age temperatures and deposits. The engineers admitted to Congress that Tox geology was, quote, some of the worst material they had ever dealt with. To expand on that, while he was a top employee of the Basin Commission, Richard Albert, who is now gone, wrote a book called The Rise and Fall of Tox Island Dam. A question about Tox Dam, a quotation, excuse me. Here's the quotation. The most critical problem facing the engineers was the scattered lake deposits found in the valley and under the bluff on the Pennsylvania side of the dam site. We're speaking about land right up the road here. The lake deposits were sensitive to dynamic loading and under stress would lose strength and even liquefy. I mean, this is real. This is the word liquefy. I couldn't believe this. How are you going to build a dam on something that melts? Core samples containing lake deposits required special handling just to get to the Corps' New England Soil Testing Laboratory. In spite of special handling and sealed packaging, some of the samples would slump and liquefy before reaching the lab. The extreme sensitivity of the material meant that earthquakes could cause a dam failure. Rises and falls of the reservoir's pool also could affect their stability. Quote, there were other serious geological problems facing engineers, but the lake deposits were the trickiest by far, unquote. If a full reservoir were to collapse at Tox Island, it would do much more damage than the 1955 flood. From Shawnee to Philadelphia Navy Yard, there would be the worst flood this country has ever had due to all the cities and towns along the river's route. Richard Albert ended his book by recommending that the Delaware continue as is. Quote, this is Albert speaking, and he is gone. This is my vision of the Delaware River as it should be, a modern-day version of the old-fashioned swimming hole, used by many people for innocent pleasure. I agree with Richard Albert, and I pray that the lessons we learn from talks are able to educate and better prepare all of us gathered here tonight for future challenges to come, and they surely will come. For the present, one of the great river valleys of America has been saved for the benefit of this generation and generations to come.